All right, so very good evenings, everybody. Sorry, my light has three lights, three chances are on it. So, I was gonna go with part two. I was gonna keep going on about the Katrina thing and those people in the South that were unprepared. The poor people that lived in those run-down homes. But kind of, there's not much more to say. The the levees broke and the water cleaned it all out, And the way that I look at it, yeah, cleaned it all out. Oh, it's awful. Oh, it's awful what happened. But change is the title of this one. The change is irrelevant, as always relevant. I'm sorry. Sometimes I mix words sometimes, but I try to correct myself and then get the point out is really important. Um, you know, huh, stagnant is a bad thing. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. If you put water out, in some place and leave it, stagnant, then it attracts mosquitoes. It's unhealthy. They carry diseases and stuff. Look, there's a huge difference. We all need rest. It's really important. But the problem herein lies that if you're sleeping, 8 hours a day, and you're sitting in an office 8 hours a day, you're not moving around, you're not walking around, your body's not getting any activity. Everything's got to keep the blood has to flow. Everything has to flow. Um, I'm a big proponent of walking, at least. I know I go to the gym a lot and I do like a lot of martial arts and stuff, but I really, really recommend doing as much as you get older. More is better. More to be more obsessed, than it is not to do anything at all. So try to stay active, you know, make it a real point. Change, huh? Yeah, man. Everything changes. This is a tough thing for a lot of people to understand. This girl that I knew, she just doesn't get it. Like people try to hold on to things. Like you can't. You got to understand that the earth, is continually turning. You might not feel it, but the days start to add up as you begin to get older. And with that, you should be getting wiser, smarter, wiser. I know those are kind of two different things, but you you should. They say, "Oh, try to be 1% better every day." I don't know, like don't worry, don't try to think of a number as far as improvement of yourself. But think like to yourself, how do I eliminate, how do I not eliminate, but how do I bring down things that cause me stress in my life? How do I'm allowing society to dictate terms. Kind of like you're in a military kind of like on a base or something where you're being ordered around, you have to do, you're not, we have our freedom. You don't have to allow yourself to be ordered around and get agitated over things. I know it's not really the greatest analogy, but I just feel like people are offended so easily. I told you about that guy in the car. He was going ape shit after I just ignored him for a second. What a little bitch. And I know that sounds derogatory, but nobody ever taught this guy, um, how to look. You don't understand, dude. There's like Homo sapien, and then I believe there's levels higher. These people that I consider smart. When you think somebody's smart, you're thinking book smart, Jeopardy. You're thinking like, no, there's like, you know, uh, psychological smart. It's not. This is very interesting. There's people that can get in your head, that are highly intelligent. Was it the Men That Stare at Goats? They were talking that movie. That was based on Ingo Swann. The guy that used telepathy and everything like that. You don't, man. Let me tell you something. If you believe that's possible, which I do, I believe in powers of, I don't know, ESP, extrasensory perception. Then who's to say people can't use word trickery to try to manipulate you in ways that you think, oh, look, I've had it happen to me when I was younger. I've been hustled before. When I was young, And let me tell you something, man. This guy, he was. I mean, I don't consider myself, but when I was younger, I still was kind of a defensive person. But dude, let me tell you, some of these guys that are masters at this, and there was this pizza place that used to be near where I live, and I'd hang out there sometime, and there was this guy. He went in there, and I don't know how this started. It was casual conversation. Sitting there and we were talking, and there was like a clothing store next door that he would go anyway. So I don't really remember how, but he was telling me something about like I have these watches that I was trying to sell, and this guy was so believable. But the way that he did it, it's like he didn't care kind of thing. It's an incredible power. I mean, I'm telling you, he managed to get those watches off of me through psychological trickery. It was so weird because he didn't care if I gave it to him or not, and I wound up giving them to him, and I never saw him again. So it's amazing. Now at my age now, I know I would never do anything like that. But in my 20s, I didn't know that kind of thing. I kind of it was a incredible use of psychological ploy of being able to get this stuff off of me by me just him using his like this type of trust through creative mind power or whatever. I was like, geez, I don't think I've ever seen anybody like that ever. That was that good. Um, but again, I was young, and you're young, you're gonna make mistakes and stuff, and I did learn. I'm not trying to say you should be paranoid and skeptical of trusting anybody. It's very important to understand the difference. I know I use yellow alert all the time, but still, yellow alert does not mean nobody. Like you can't. You have to let people earn respect and trust. Now, that guy in that car that went, hey, 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 he could have built his respect and trust, getting my attention through intelligent conversation. See, but he didn't do that. And that's the thing. People that look for the fast and easy are not looking to gain respect and trust. Okay, you got to make people earn it. You got to earn your stripes. You guys, like that. Um, through mostly through time and proving yourself, and perseverance and persistence. Most writers that write a script, the first one is nothing. They don't get nothing. You're lucky to even have anybody look at it, and then they just keep writing more, and they keep fucking producing more, and then eventually, after who knows how much material, if something's decent, finally some producer will take a look at it and then say, hey, what else you got there? But writing one script or even two or maybe even three, that's not, it doesn't show that you're real serious about something. You might have a great idea. An idea without writing anything down is daydreaming. So you can take your idea without doing anything with it, and it's daydreaming. Like, I'm going to give it to you straight. I don't care what idea you think you have. That's $1 million idea. If you don't have it written down or seriously put any, it's like you really do get out what you put in with anything in life. I mean, it's that way. Unfortunately, we talk about school and everything like that. I feel kind of bad. Young people, 4 years of their life, not more to get a bachelor's degree. But you see, you don't understand. There's different types of bachelor's degrees. There's bachelor's in computer science. There's bachelor's in liberal arts. General studies. So it really depends. It's not just one is the same as the other. And a lot of people are going to school just to get a job. I mean, that's like, you know, you have to understand schools are in business. Okay, it's a business. The school, like Cal State Northridge or whatever, they don't guarantee you no job. The only thing they guarantee you, if you do all the work and pass all your classes, they give you a degree. Could lead to a job. The key word is could. But I guess the logic is if you're that, you put in the kind of time, maybe employers say, whoa, wow, this person is educated, without nepotism. I mean, you don't need it. If you had nepotism or connections, you're right in. Um, and you can go higher. A master's degree is exactly the same thing. Exactly the same. I didn't know that. I thought you got a master's degree, you can basically go and apply for these jobs, and they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, no. Okay, all right. I learned that, about 4 years ago, and it was kind of a shock to me. I really did think an advanced degree is like carte blanche to writing your ticket into whatever job or you want, whatever field you're in. Wow, it's not. I thought it was a guaranteed teaching job. I mean, like basically, you just go to any community college, you got a master's degree. But no, it doesn't work that way, and it doesn't work that way even further up. If you get what I have is an EDS, educational degree of educational specialist, and then of course the doctor degrees, which again I thought, that's a guarantee of this and that. It's a guarantee of absolutely nothing. I'm not saying it's not worth it. I'm not saying it's a waste of time, but it's your time. So you have to think of things, and think of yourself and say, wow, I'm so and so, I'm so much years old, and I can't go back. So instead of me being upset about that, I said, I'm here right now. What can I do now and going forward? Hopefully, you're going up forward. You're going in that right direction. I think about this too. I'm not far from 50, and um, no matter what, your time is going to come to an end. This is a very very difficult subject to discuss for me. But it actually, I start thinking about this, and I say to myself, wow, um, that's it. You're if you're lucky, you get a decent amount of time, and then it's over. Yeah, yeah. My own opinion on this is that it's quite short-lived. Wow. And I try to say to myself, that did I get all the experiences when I was here? You know, I don't think, I don't know about other people, but you try to figure out, okay, what is it I want out of this life while I'm here? And and I hate when they say, well, it doesn't matter, you die anyway. I say, look, there's I don't look at it like that. That's a negative way. Yeah, everybody goes, but there's something about the experience while you're here, the challenge and dealing with things. Like I think we're here to be tested. God tests us. I'll address that in a second. But the test is that we're like kind of like a certain kind of person, and I think that most people don't try to change that. Go through life being that, and in a way, I think that we're supposed to challenge what we're supposed to be. We're not supposed to do things a little differently. We're not supposed to. I mean, and they say people that don't really stick their necks out there, they never make history. They never become like. I mean, I know everybody knows Rosa Parks. She stood up on the bus and would not go to the back, and she made. But it wasn't. I don't really know all of that situation, but she's regarded as the one that took a stand. Um, I think that that type of segregation was pretty much it was coming to an end anyway. Um, it would have been, but that's the thing. My point is that she stuck her neck out there, and it was like, what? What do you mean you're not going to the back? You people got to sit in the back, and like, fuck no, I'm tired, I'm old, I'm sitting in, So it was kind of like maybe her intention wasn't to create an end to segregation, and everything separate but equal or in the back of the bus. She was just sincerely tired, we're not going in the back. So, but that stand like that she made basically just kind of like the George Floyd thing, like I can quite assure you that he did not have any intentions of, changing any type of equality dynamic in the world or the country. I have my own take on all of this. I have to be honest with you. And I'm going to say this, and I really don't care what your opinions are of anything. And here's my opinion. I think it's all bullshit. I think it's all bullshit. Okay, so what do I mean by that? What do I mean by that? In my opinion, the segregation and the separation of races that all went out in the 60s, in the end of the 60s. It was over. Into the 70s, we're all equal, okay? We're the same. Blacks and whites, you can vote, you can go wherever you want. There's no separation, there's no kind of thing like that, okay? And then all of a sudden, I don't know, like in 1990 or whatever, there was this big thing with this police beating and Rodney King and all this stuff. And oh my God, the police are being racist and they're killing this guy and everything, beating him up and everything. Creating something, making something. And then this George Floyd case, the same narrative over and over again. The white police officer that killed this guy. And then everybody's protesting everywhere about everything. I think it's total bullshit. I think that if you were very serious about, you were very so upset about what happened up there. Now, of course, it's wrong, okay, what happened. But if you're so upset about what happened, you should have fucking drove up to Minnesota. Seriously. Instead of fucking having like protests all around the country in every city, they should all convened there. Okay, just like when it was like the abortion kind of thing, everybody went to Washington that was serious about that, where the law was made. They all went to Capitol Hill. My friend Ruben, he went there, the fighting against the women's right to choose or whatever, the whole thing. But no, they go ahead and they do all these protests around the cities and everything like that, disrupting people's lives and everything. There's this big fucking hoodoo because it's easy. You know how hard it is for you to stop your life and to go to fucking Minnesota if you live like in New York or LA or Texas? That's a big schlep. And you know why they wouldn't do it? Because they really don't care, okay? It's easy to gather where you live in your area and go, with the signs and stuff like that. It's it's the way the people think. They don't they're trying to recreate something. They're trying to bring back something that went out in the 60s. That nonsense is decades behind us already. But what happened was these young people that weren't alive in the 60s, they want it back. I know it sounds absolutely retarded. I know it. There's there's a truth in this. If you miss out on something in life, you want a piece of it, whatever it is. Unfortunately, that's a negative thing that happened. But I'll tell you how many young people I see that wish the 80s, I wish I was around in the 90s. They all wear the shoes, the 90s, the Jordans, the 80s, whatever. They weren't around. Maybe they were born in 1990 or something like that. But they didn't live it. I did. I was around. And I'll tell you something. I fucking wish I was around in 1977, which I was. I was 3 years old. I fall into the same thing. I wish I was older. I wish I have a picture of me wearing a Star Wars shirt in 77. I was 3 years old though. So I think about these. I missed out. Okay. So I missed out on, and I Saturday Night Fever and everything. I would go like disco to places like that, whenever they would have 70s music playing, because I missed out. So the same thing applies to all these other people. They all missed out. So what they did was they created something, so they could get back. They could dream. They go, oh, I that's what it was like. Yeah, that's what we fought for, civil rights. We fought. You didn't do fucking nothing. Okay, you're about as dumb as those people on Cap that went and did the Trump thing, the insurgency or whatever. Those are dumb. Those MIFA, whatever, those supporters, a dumb fucking thing. That's not how you create change by storming a place like that. That's how you embarrass yourself. I watched on the news, I saw those people breaking into businesses and everything like the looting and everything like that. No shame. No shame.
You want to be real? They were angry. They were angry? Angry. Angry people that of low intellect do shit like that. And there are plenty people. Didn't that guy, the Floyd, he tried to pass a counterfeit $20 bill? Don't even talk about that. Not a mention of that. Do you know why? Because that would ruin the narrative of the story. You can't. You know? Trying to recreate something that happened a long time ago. That's the point that I'm trying to make. Nonsense should have been long forgotten and everything like that, but no. And you think that shit happens by accident. You don't think. You think that shit just happens and it's like a surprise, like an earthquake or something like that? You don't think that shit is kind of like scripted to make the headlines, to rile people up, to get them agitated? Man, things do not happen by accident. They do not happen by accident. There are powers beyond your understanding that make things happen. Okay? There is no like no. Okay? There's a design that's in place. The media controls everything that you see on television and what you read. They are master manipulators on what to show you. You know, I talked about 9/11 and everything. I feel like people are being made out to be fools, you know? And what I mean by that is fools is like a fool is a fooled. You're not being told the truth. So you're being fooled, you're being misled. And that is like constitutes a fool. Somebody that has been like made out to be a sucker. It's like the real truth. I mean, was it the Sherlock Holmes? I know it's a movie, whatever, but was it the Arthur Conan Doyle that said, or Spock even said this, Star Trek 6, when they were trying to figure out, you know, what the hell's going on here? The Klingon, what the hell? He said, where are those boots from those people that killed the Chancellor? He said, what did he say? If you take everything and if you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, how improbable must be the truth. Now think about that. And most people don't. They don't understand what that means. To them, you watch the news, that's the truth. Who says? The survey says, or research says. Well, whose research? Who's saying? There's somebody reporting something that they said. Show you something, and that's it. You don't have time to research that. This coronavirus came out, they're talking about, you know, these things, and they show you these numbers of how many dead people and stuff. But you don't know. When I was told by somebody, firsthand experience, some guy telling me that, he says, my dad, he went to the hospital, I think, and he's telling me his dad died. He was like, the people in the hospital saying that if you say that your dad died of the coronavirus, you get an extra $10,000. I'm telling you these things. You ever hear that before? I never heard that on the news or the radio or anything. I heard this from firsthand accounts of somebody that told me this. So what does that mean? They're trying to push those numbers up. Why? Problem, reaction, and solution. David, I talked about this. Now all of a sudden there's this vaccine. Oh my God, yeah. Take this shot. And the problem is gone. But no, wait a second. It's not one, it's two. And then there's people taking these shots. And they're getting sick. They're taking a second shot and they're getting some type of reaction. Huh? Wait a minute. Why? Feeling ill for a couple days or whatever. Wait a minute. I'm taking a shot and I'm getting sick. Well, that's the side effect from it. I'm sorry. I'm not going to prescribe to the notion of taking something based on predicated fear. You'll be safer that way. Who says? The Fauci, the guy. Doctor, yeah. On television every fucking day, telling you. Scaring you. Scared my mom into these things. Wearing 2 masks. Can't even fucking breathe. You're telling me that's healthy? Walking around wearing masks where you can't even get fresh air in your lungs and everything. You don't think people are going to develop the next couple of years respiratory issues and stuff like that? Oh, we'll have something for that too. My friends, I really hope you kind of can learn to open up your mind to the reality of this. I hope you people see this in the following years and try to kind of understand what is going on here. Now, they've been wearing masks in China and Asia for years for a multitude of reasons. Bad air, whatever, but that's the norm, okay? They also have something called a social credit rating. If you don't know what that is, research. To me, those countries, those are backwards people, okay? And what I mean by backwards people, yeah, they're advanced and everything like that, but they live in a borderline, socialist, controlled, society under like a ruler. It's not a freedom. It's not like, the social credit thing is like you're awarded like a credit score based on how well you behave and observe the laws in public. It sounds absolutely ridiculous, I know, but I can assure you it's coming here within the next 10 years. There's no doubt in my mind. They brought that here, okay? That virus was brought here. I don't know how it was made. I don't know. They said it was a U.S. Army thing. I can't validate that. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me. But what I think would happen is there were decisions made at Agenda 21. They talked about this. I've read articles on this. I already knew about the Space Force. I already knew all about that. That wasn't Trump's creation. That was already long in the books. They were already working on that. And if you don't know what Agenda 21 is, look it up and read about it. Okay? It's the blueprint for the new, century of what's things, ideas of what they have in store. So I'm sorry, you don't think the COVID thing happened by accident or something. I think everything's part of a plan. These things happen. It's a conspiracy. I don't know what that is. Okay, I think whatever happens is meant to happen for a reason. Well, what would you have done? I'll tell you what I would have done. Now, let me tell you something. Trump is a smart dude. When he was, and they blame him. Oh, you didn't do anything. Talk about building that wall, right, in Mexico. Immediately, when this virus came out in China, there should have been an automatic country lockdown in the United States. Nobody comes in, nobody goes out. Period. Period. And I guarantee you that's what he wanted to do. But he didn't have the power to do it. It's beyond him. I know that's what he wanted. Okay? That's the point of the wall. I know it doesn't make any sense. But it's not the physical wall that matters. What matters was to contain it so that none of those fucking nobody from around the world could have brought the virus into the country. Should have been zero tolerance from it from the second that thing was let out. And you don't think the second that virus started, in Wuhan and then spread, nobody did nothing in America here? But here's what you don't know. Here's probably what you don't know because you haven't done enough research to know. Powerful people in Washington liquidated their stock accounts. Now think about that. They sold all their shit fast. People like Nancy Pelosi and whoever, I forget what it was. They had like $8 million in all these stocks and everything. They sold everything immediately because they knew what was coming. And what happened? In one day, it was the biggest drop in the stock market history. In that one fucking day. It stayed fucking down. It dropped to like 15,000 or less. Because those people that cashed out, they fucking knew what was coming. And gold dropped to 1,500 or something. I remember it was a disaster. People fucking know what's up. They're not just one step ahead of you. They're way ahead of you. Not because they're smart, but because they're ahead in the game. They know what's happening. I don't know. You can't pin it down. Like you say, okay, well, I can't tell you definitively, how the virus was engineered and how. But if you think things just happen by accident, your head's in the sand. Your head's in the sand. You don't think like, what happens is as time goes on, then you get more and more information. So what you can do as time goes on, then you can look back and you can try to figure things out. You say, oh, that's why it happened. Who benefited from this? A vaccine? These companies? So they're there to help me. They're there to give me these shots, but are they making money from this? Who else was involved with this? Gates or whatever? Well, why would he do something? Well, like what? Why? Why do these things happen? It makes some interesting thought. It makes for interesting. I mean, a lot of it, unfortunately, is kind of scary. Because if I'm not going to tell you, eventually I'll start opening up more on this. But a lot of this stuff is probably beyond your what you want to hear. It's just downright nasty stuff. It's nasty stuff. It sucks, I just don't know, I don't know if the human the human dynamic or whatever it's meant to destroy itself. I don't know. More than likely so. More than likely so. It's just what will happen because when you have only so many resources. You remember what happened to Praxis? In Star Trek 6, what happened? Blew up. Half the moon. It blew up, and it was there. It was the Klingons' main mining facility. They needed it, and half the fucking moon. Remember, it shows the half the fucking thing. It blew up. It's gone. So why did it blow up? You know, Star Trek 6. It was over mining. Doesn't it sound familiar? What do you think we're doing on Earth? No. There's a lot of truth in nonsense, believe me. There's a lot of truth in that movie. That's a very, very important film if it's watched from, you know, an outward perspective of things. There's a lot of good shit in there. I didn't say it's the best. I don't know which one is the best. Everything has its best, but that there's a lot of interesting stuff in 6. Undiscovered Country. Very, very good. I've watched it quite a number of times. Because those people that write those movies, they think things through and they know. They try to relate it to real life. Remember the guy on the box? This is the Gulag Rurapente. There is no guard tower. There is no escape. It's only I forget what it. Yeah, I mean it's. I know, I'm making fun of like Russian Siberian kind of thing. I know that. But you know, it's just a cute. You know, the guy gets on the crate and everything like that. It's like, you know, that's. You know, that's nonsense. That's not what I'm talking about. That's the, you know, but again, when I relate about, you know, things that are serious, you know, like 9/11 and stuff like that, and then you hear about, you know, what did Kim Cattrall, Lieutenant Valeris, she goes, you know, your own people conspiring against you, you know, Klingons and Starfleet, high level people conspire. Why? Still don't like change. So don't think things are so far fetched. I told you about that book I read, what David Icke says about U.S. and Israel. Wow, those are my people, okay? But they're bad people in every people, okay? Remember that. Don't let the veil of what you think fool you. Like the Wizard of Oz. It's a curtain. Now, the wizard wasn't all evil, but my point that he was behind, controlling everything. So you kind of have to take little bits from here and there and try to like put this thing together and try to understand why things happen the way they do. It's just interesting to me. You know, I find these things very interesting. The most important thing out of all of this is not to get emotional about this kind of stuff. Just try to be part of the informed. Now, I know there's a 9/11 truth movement. These people gather around once a year in New York, wherever, and they all stand out there with their signs and everything like that, these big banners. That's emotional. Now, I know what they're trying to do, say the truth and everything like that, but they are like partially also head in the sand. Now, this is interesting because think about this. Now, I don't prescribe to the narrative of what they showed on television or whatever. Neither do the truth movement people. However, what I differ from the truth movement people is their emotional, you know, thing. They get very emotional about this because if you say anything against them, contradictory to what they think, you know, we're up to building 7. I understand that. I understand that. But then what about this? So see, I'm playing both sides of the field here. And they're like, no, no, we didn't. See, they lost their respect. They lost their respect because what you know, my respect, because see, what there is narrow-minded, one way, one-dimensional thinking. It's either this happened, or this, or they say it's this. So what I do is I look at this, I look at this, and then I think of this. They only think of this. And the people that don't like conspiracy theories just think of this. Who's dangerous? The person that looks at everything and then tries to like really think things through and go, huh, well, I wonder what about this? That's dangerous. Now, what I mean by dangerous, I said that makes you informed. Because you're not making emotional decisions. You're actually saying, huh, that's called being an educated person. And the problem herein lies, I have a friend, you know, it's a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy theory. You know, that's him. He's on that side. And then those truth movement people are like, well, what happened to Building 7? So they're both against each other. So they both of these people can't really figure out exactly what the truth is. I'm not saying I do, but I'm saying I got a better chance to figure it out than neither of those guys, neither parties there. Those two parties are too narrow-minded, okay? Too narrow-minded and emotional. Because it's a sensitive subject. Those, you know, David Icke even said, those people should not have died. I agree. But they did not do a full investigation. No. NIST and whatever. National Institute Safety, the technology, whatever. Sent the fucking the rubble, sent the steel beams, most of it, to the, you know, China to be melted down as fucking the recycling. That whole area was cordoned off for as long as it was. People could not get in there to do, you know, research. It was the biggest crime scene, one of the biggest crime scenes in this country's history. And there were powers that kept people from investigating. Okay? Kept people from doing a thorough investigation 20 years ago. And the biggest joke of all is they built a building right there, hence the cover up. You think that happened all by accident? Most people do. Most people believe that these hijackers, they just flew these planes, you know, and they all in one day. Perfect choreography, you know, like whatever, a plan executed, absolutely perfect, like that simple. 20 years ago. Something so stupid, you know? And then when I start talking about what I feel that happened, it's like, you know, this, oh, we got another one of those guys. Yeah, another one of those guys is the answer. Another conspiracy theory guy. That's it. That's it, huh? I agree with everything that whatever Jesse Ventura said and all these people. That's it. I go along with one narrative. I'm more on that side if there is a side. If you have to pick. Because they don't talk about it. They don't. There's so many things about that events that happened. There's no inconclusive. There's no proof. And the only logic that I've ever heard, they say, well, the FBI doesn't want like to give any terrorists any ideas, so they don't want to show any videos of this and that. That's the greatest excuse Greatest fucking excuse of all. That's a great way to keep things from being investigated to the fullest, of getting to the bottom line of why things had happened. Remember? You can't handle the truth. He said, again, he got mad, you know? I told you, the truth in movies. Things that happen that you don't need to know about. Don't concern you. You wouldn't believe it. It doesn't make sense. Some disturbing pictures I saw one time. I forget, it was like Air Force guys walking. I think it was with Trump. And you should have saw like the getup. If you compare that to the Nazi Germany, the way the trench coats with the thing, I swear you wouldn't know. You would not know that was today's dress style for the Air Force. So similar to the Nazi Germany style that they wore. I looked at it and I had to look again. I said, what? Yeah, okay. Look at the design of the stealth bomber, okay? Didn't the Nazis were working on a flying wing? Similar, okay? I already talked about this, that we brought over, was it Werner von Braun and all these Nazi scientists? Don't misconstrue. I didn't say this is turning the United States turning into next Nazi Germany. I didn't say that. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. I'll keep going. I'll never forget this also. I went to go see Star Wars Force Awakens opening night at the El Capitan Theater with my friend Chris. Okay? El Capitan Theater is a Disney theater. It's like their landmark theater for Disney. Opening night, Force Awakens. We go, and we sit in like the balcony, the second, level. And there's some guy like on stage, he's playing like a piano and everything. It's kind of cool, whatever. The kids there and everything like that. And I looked around in the theater, right? And immediately something jumped out at me that was very odd. Very odd. I looked, now the TV screen, the movie screen, right? Now, on the sides, there were these long banners from like, they're huge, from like near ceiling to the floor, one on each side. And they were red banners with black, okay? And in the center of the banner was the black symbol of the empire. It's like I can't really, it's a round kind of thing. But I guess it was the first order. The first order, okay? Now, I looked at those things, and I said to myself, this is very strange to me. It really felt something really weird. Now, it could be just my imagination, but you know what? It's my imagination. And I'm looking, and I said, well, why isn't there one of like the resistance? It's supposed to be the resistance against the First Order, right? Now, I haven't seen the movie yet. So in my mind, I'm thinking Empire or something. But it's red and black. Red, long, thin banner, right? And my friend Chris, you didn't even notice them. I talked to him about this after. I said, do you see those? And he goes, what banner? What are you talking about? I remember them saying, no photography in the theater. But I would have given anything to have a picture of that. Okay? It was very, very odd. Very strange to see that. Okay? It doesn't make any sense to me. None. but it makes sense to somebody. There's a reason why those banners were there, okay? And there's a reason they were both red, black with the first order on each side. There's powerful people at work here that are trying to send a message, okay? It's not my prefabrication of my imagination of anything, but I noticed it. Just very, very strange. And it bothers me. It bothered me then and it bothers me now. Anyway. I don't know if anybody saw that either. Well, you're thinking, you're jumping to, maybe I am. But do you think those people that decided to put those banners like that and have that like that there, that's just by accident? There's no message to be said about that. I just don't believe things are coincidental. I just don't. There's a message that's trying to be broadcast, that maybe it's subliminal or something. I don't know, but I noticed it. It's like being in a Nazi theater or something. I don't know. I was never in one, but I got this really sick feeling. I take it very, very seriously. My grandparents were survivors of that. In a way, I don't understand, like why I didn't stand up against it, It bothers me. They couldn't do nothing because the Gestapo had guns. They would kill you if you did something. You know? People that let this guy, Hitler, became a dictator. Rise to power like that. And they say never again. They say never again, Kind of scares me. Like, who's to say something like that couldn't happen again, in a different way? I just don't want to be like that, be around in that, I know. Like, I just remember I watched shows like V when it first came out, and there was like, the same kind of premise narrative for that. I know it's, but that show is based on a book. It's based on a book, Thomas Sinclair. Is it Can't Happen Here? Wrote the book, and then I forget who the guy who produced it. But if there's truth in science fiction, that's it's quite scary to think about that shit. Like a regime taking over people, killing them. In these cases, it was like eating them. It's interesting, but just. Was it Eisenhower that said, "Beware of the military-industrial complex"? It was his speech before he retired. You let something get so big, powerful, it has that potential to overstep its boundaries. I don't like that idea. I see that in police all the time. Driving erratically, Well, they got to get on a call or something. Okay. But I've seen stuff where it feels like they're overextending their rights and privileges. They're sworn. They have a duty. I don't need to hear about your duty. I was protecting this galaxy while your grandfather was in diapers. Right? That's Star Trek Generations, Kirk said to Picard. But my point was that, who's keeping, the people of trusted power, the police officers, in check? I remember one time walking down my block or whatever. It's like 4 a.m. I know, out going home or whatever, and this cop car is driving. His other one, and the main cop car doesn't have the lights on, and then the other cars behind do. And he's driving on the wrong side of the street. Like, it's okay. Like, no one can stop me, kind of attitude. And I wish I could have stopped it. What are you doing? Turn on your lights. And that's the problem. It's supposed to be the police are supposed to be there to protect and to serve. They're not there to harass and they're not supposed to be doing mischievous, odd, weird things. I get concerned when I see that, because it's a precursor, possibly, of things to come. If things change, right? So if it doesn't get better, it's going to get worse. What are you doing? Who keeps them in check? They're supposed to answer to you, and that's the problem. And people are scared. I got to be honest with you. Yeah, police, they have guns, okay? But I'm telling you something. There's the same thing in Nazi Germany. The people were scared. It got out of hand. Again, I'm not saying the U.S. is turning into Nazi Germany, but I fear something along the lines of a combination of some type of socialist, society with elements of, I don't know, the protecting you against what? Because that takes away your freedom. So you might have freedom, but it might be really regulated. So in a way, then you don't have freedom to do this and that. That's how it all starts. I think that's part of like this grand plan. I don't really know what endgame is, but I think that what's happening is those people that control everything, there's a certain agenda that they envision. And it's kind of like, I know, it's like, what's his name talks about, the guy from Texas, I know, he's got that deep voice, whatever. But that's not, I'm not saying I agree completely with what he's thinking, but I think that he is thinking, like he's and I think that, the country we have to stay, we can't get away from those ideals of like how the country was founded. It's supposed to be freedom, independence, like a democracy, and what happened is it will all start on 9/11. I said, did it? I don't think so. I don't think it started on 9/11. I think you were shown some things on 9/11 is what you were shown something. Just like a movie, it takes time to put something together. That's what I think happened. I know that's what happened. Because they made a mistake. They did. It wasn't just the planes going into the Trade Center. The one that went in the Pentagon. Don't you know there's a no-fly zone? A 10-mile radius around that area? There's a no-fly zone. Now, do you know what they do? If a plane enters into that no-fly zone, what do you think? What do you think is? What do you think the instruction is? Eliminate it. There's Andrews Air Force Base right there. They scramble F-18s immediately. Get rid of that thing immediately. They get jets up in the air, and there weren't any that morning. Why? Because they were off 10 miles off coast doing a training exercise. Why? You were prepared for this. Not prepared? Are you stupid? If you believe any of that? It's a no-fly zone. I know I said that before, but it's really important to understand that. That plane was allowed to crash there. If you believe that a plane crashed there, something hit the Pentagon. My rocket scientist friend that doesn't believe in conspiracy theories said, "Oh yeah, I remember watching it live, and I saw the plane go into the Pentagon. Yeah, they showed it. They showed it. You know how many hours I spent looking on YouTube videos, trying to find that more, trying to see any video of that? I've yet to see one. Not once. And then that one thing that they show you that looks like it's shot on a little camera. It shows you something that looked like a missile going in there for a second. For a second. You know how much debris is left over from a plane crash? The plane is fucking huge. And it's all there are pictures of guys, FBI guys, walking off with like stuff they can carry in their hands. Or they show, oh, there's a big pieces. Yeah. And then the top part caved in. He caved in the top part, so it eliminated. Yeah, it was all burnt. It all burnt itself up and out. All of it's gone. Everything. Do you know how retarded that sounds? But that's what you're told. And story closed. Case closed. It's over. I mean, again, I'm not. It's just all this is nonsense to me. I don't get any of this. It doesn't make any sense. You know why? Because those people that work, like within the government, they don't want to say shit. They don't want to lose their jobs. That's their livelihood. Making money, yeah. I can't say anything. They'll take away my pension. They'll fire me. You're scared. That's what you are. You're scared. My grandparents were scared. I know it's a dumb analogy in Star Wars. I know, but what did Tarkin say on the Death Star? Fear will keep them in line. Fear of this battle station. No one will dare to oppose the Emperor now. The regional something. Fear will keep them in line. They said that in 77. It's very true. Fear does keep people in line. It's interesting. Very interesting. You know, sometimes you just don't see really what's going on until it's too late. I'm not I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm not saying I do anything about it. But I don't think most people realize anything. That event was so important. And to most people, they just, you know, if you say 9/11, they'll say, yeah, that's the day the World Trade Centers. Yeah, 3,000 people lost their lives there. It was absolutely awful. Terrorists, yeah. Osama bin Laden, yeah. You have any other opinions on it? Do you have any idea of anything? Nah, it's awful, and that's it. It's over. Anyway. All right. Well, anyway, it's been about a little over an hour. I thought I would just. I know I completely went off topic, but you know, I like to say what I feel. You know, what I think is interesting discussion topics that like are worth talking about. You know, like doesn't matter when it's from. You know, again, I'll talk about shit I told you. I talk about Jekyll Island, but it pertains to now. It pertains to now. You know. I'll lead into the next one because I need a little more research on this guy. Kind of interesting. It was a German scientist, American scientist of German descent. His name was Wilhelm Reich. I think his last name is spelled Reich, like the Third Reich, right? But not. He wasn't a Nazi scientist. He was an American scientist, inventor. And writer. Try to create solutions to problems. I think it was in the 1950s. He came up with something. I think now again, I could be off by a little bit, but it's called the Oregon box. Look it up. Wilhelm Reich inventions. There's a couple. I'm going to talk about two. I think it's called the Oregon box. And he worked with like I don't know. I'm not a physicist. I think he was a physicist too, working with certain types of frequencies and stuff. Box was built for a person to go inside. So they would go inside of this, I guess, wooden box that was outfitted with certain types of electrodes and stuff. And his claim was that the emissions of the frequencies could cure cancer. So he conducted experiments on people that had terminally ill with cancer that would go into this box. And I think the results were when they came out of the box, he monitored their progress. He said it couldn't cure cancer, but he said those people that came out of there felt a lot better. Maybe it's psychological. Maybe they thought it was a placebo or something like that. But that's not the most. That's one thing that he did. But there's something else. think now again, I think I'm gonna try to get the name right on this one. I think it was might have been called the Cloud Duster. I'm not sure. He built this thing, and his claim was it could create rain. It's like a weather modification device. So, sorry, my times itches. So he took this thing out to like the middle of the desert when there was no rain or whatever, and he would take it to like this farmers, and you're like, hey, can I test my device out here? You know, so it'll rain crops, and they're like, yeah, it's nuts. It's gonna rain for 6 months, buddy. Good luck. And he says it's gonna rain in like 2 days, 3 days maybe for sure. And every time he used it, it worked. Every time. What do you think happened? He started to get a lot of attention from the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. For some reason, that's, you know, who handled that at that time. And he said, you can't be using this device, okay? This is not a made up story. This is documented facts, okay? Some guy was doing this in the 50s. So he was subpoenaed to, you know, the judge, you know, heard about this guy with his writings and these things that he's doing, and he's ordered to stand trial. And he said, why do I have to stand trial for? I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm an inventor. He didn't show up. So they arrested him. He's sentenced to like 2 years in prison, failing to appear. He died in jail. But this is probably what you don't know. All of his materials, his books, were burned by order. Okay? Here in the US. Yes. You know, just because you have an invention or something, it doesn't mean it's going to be well received. Now they talk about, you know, chemtrails, seeding, you know, and everything, possible weather modification and stuff. Who knows? I don't. But it's very possible what Wilhelm Reich came up with. He was way ahead of his time. They say, well, Nikola Tesla and stuff like that, but I don't think he had a weather modification device like this guy did. It proved it worked. He had students too. I think in New York. Like his name is wiped from history. How many people ever heard of that guy? My writing mentor knew who when I said his name, he goes, the Argon box, huh? Like, how do you know this? He knows. Educated people know all this stuff because they research. books being burned by the U.S. government, document all that destroyed. That's amazing. I never heard of that ever happening. Wow. Something to think about, you know. Anyway, I know I went off topic and everything, but I like to share things that I find interesting, you know, that I learned about, you know. My head gets sunburned, you know, because it looks like I have full head of hair, but, you know, I lost a lot. So it gets burned and stuff in the sun and everything. But, you know, I don't care. Um, it's not a big deal. You know, you lose your hair, whatever. This comes back full circle to, you know, time and everything. It adds up. Don't worry about the small stuff. I remember I had a friend. I was really self-conscious about it. You know, we went to a bar one time and we got into an argument. And he goes, "Well, you're bald," you know. And he got really, he went to get a toupee. You know, so see, it's so amazing. Someone says something to you, they're drunk and angry or whatever, and you take it so personally. Like, don't be so weak-minded. They call it thin-skinned. I call it weak-minded, like in Star Wars. The Gamorrean guards, remember? They're not, you know. That's why Luke was able to just easily, you know, they're nothing. You know. Stormtroopers are a little bit harder because, you know, the communication thing, but they can be controlled as well. Then the higher up you go, the more stronger, you know, the people are. You know, the level of individual, you know, power. Kind of like, you know, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm kind of babbling on right now, but you know, I try to equate. I feel like I know I said this before, but from those banners, from everything, I think there's truth in everything. And I think it's all around us, and I don't think people are paying attention. But that's how I could summarize everything. Everything. From all the movies, from everything that I'm talking about, from those banners I saw at the El Capitan, I think it's all around us, and nobody's paying attention to that. They're focusing on everything that doesn't matter. They're going to the movie and they're watching science fiction, but they're not seeing, you know, what the creators are thinking. And these creators, they think things through, man. They don't need to talk about it. They won't even, because that's not what they're selling. They're selling entertainment. That's the bottom line. I get that. But I'm looking for the real, like, in, you know, because I've seen these movies, all of them, 10,000 times. I'm looking for what most people are not seeing. And in that theater, I saw something that most people were not seeing. And they don't need to know. Because if they don't see it, it's not my job to educate them. But I saw it. I guarantee you I was the only person that saw it. It's right there, right in front of you. What's their agenda then? What's Disney's agenda? If they're showing me that, what are they saying? Think about this. I have to watch. There's something I saw on YouTube one time where they really got into, you know, Disney and what their real agenda is and what they've done. The shit that you know would blow your mind. You wouldn't believe what their, you know, what kind of psychological tactics of manipulation that they can do. Trickery. Remember I talked about trickery, word trickery and stuff? but it's on a worse level than I can't even begin to talk about it. I will though. I promise you. I will get into the deep, the real, I will go farther down the rabbit hole, the whole fucking way to the end. It goes further. It goes a lot further. I didn't create it either. It's based on all my research and put together with everything. And I'm not saying I know for sure. I think I've done about 10% of it. It goes way further. And if any of that's true, it is fucking scary. Jeez. It's weird. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this one. We will keep the intellectual ideas flowing. That's part of being a creative person. I have a friend, he likes to draw stuff. That's his outlet. He likes to do stuff. So this is mine. This is how you expand your mind through creative processes. Don't be scared to say what you feel. If you believe it's right, you have to. You have to. The truth has to be told. It's really important. Because you're not alone. There's other people out there that will stand with you and say, wow, yeah, this guy, boy, really? Well, yeah, I heard this on so-and-so knows about this. Well, then all of a sudden you're teamed up with them, and then you're teamed up with them. And all of a sudden you got all these people that are like, all on the same page that are thinking. It's like, wow, boy, you've got something really creative going there. You're not alone. It's like a friend that I have. He works out by himself in the park, by himself. He's never asked me once, not once, to like work up or anything. A lone wolf, somebody by himself around, is going to have a hard time finding food. I know, not say that he's going hungry, but I'm saying when you're trying to do it all on a person, look, even though Lucas had this idea for Star Wars, he had other people working with him. You can't do it all on your own, okay? You need other people that are on the same page as you. And I didn't talk about the cast. You need fucking people developing special effects and doing all this stuff. Everybody's and put it all together. Do you have any idea how difficult that is? To get everybody on the same page and to do that. The finished product is easy to see. That's the true genius of making it all happen. We'll continue this discussion next time. Warrior Junior out. Happy July the 4th weekend, where we celebrate our independence.